To comply with U.S. sanctions, Valero, Citgo and others are not allowed to pay PDVSA. Guaidos' administration has yet to establish its own bank accounts to receive proceeds from oil sales to U.S. customers, leaving those shipments stranded. Overall oil exports from the OPEC member state dropped by about 40% in the first full month of sanctions, as the U.S. sought to cut oil revenue to Maduro, who presides over a nation beset by a years-long economic crisis, with millions fleeing for a lack of food and medicine. PDVSA, Citgo, and Valero did not reply to requests for comment. Chevron does not comment on supply and trade matters, a spokesman said. Stranded tankers. The standoff has stranded some 6.4 million barrels of Venezuelan heavy crude on board 11 tankers originally destined for the United States, as they have not been authorized to set sail. The vessels fell into limbo because PDVSA demanded prepayment for the cargoes after sanctions were imposed, which U.S. firms cannot do. Chevron, the second largest U.S. oil firm by market value, wanted to take the oil shipments in lieu of loans and dividends stemming from joint ventures with PDVSA, a person close to the matter said. The cargoes were loaded at Venezuelan ports ahead of sanctions, but they remain undelivered, according to the document, and it is unclear if PDVSA would accept that offer. Valero proposed to pay PDVSA for 4 million barrels of Venezuelan oil, but that request was rejected by the U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, which oversees sanctions, the documents said. The Houston-based Citgo cut ties with its parent company in compliance with U.S. measures that halted its purchases of PDVSA's oil, the documents said. A U.S. Treasury spokesperson declined to comment on the requests to pay PDVSA for the cargoes. As of March 8, the 11 loaded vessels remained anchored off ports in Venezuela. 2 other Chevron-chartered cargoes were stuck off the U.S. Gulf Coast and a third was returned to Venezuela's Amue terminal, according to Refinitiv Icon vessel tracking data. PDVSA does not expect Citgo or Valero to accept the cargoes and intends to commercially reallocate the volumes on board so tankers can be freed, a February 21 trade and supply document showed. The same document expressed worry over demurrage fees, the daily cost for storing the oil on tankers, which have been accumulating for over a month. PDVSA scrambles to avoid export shortfall separately. A days-long blackout across the country has halted exports from Jose Port, the nation's primary crude export terminal. PDVSA on Monday was trying to restart operations. But the efforts have not been enough to avoid an export decline. The OPEC member countries' oil shipments fell to some 920,000 barrels per day, BPD, in February according to Refinitiv Icon data. Lack of maritime crews to take PDVSA tankers idled due to unpaid shipping fees is also hampering oil deliveries between domestic ports and to the Caribbean, where PDVSA stores and ships much of its export barrels. Some shipping firms' reluctance to work in Venezuela after sanctions have stopped PDVSA from using leased tankers to ease storage bottlenecks at its Orinoco Belt's joint ventures. The ones willing to work with PDVSA are charging high prices and extra fees, the document added.